Alright, hello ladies and gents, and welcome to this preview of my Walnut 502 series. Now my Finnish vocabulary is limited to Perkele and Paskarohatselainen because I'm Norwegian, so that's why I'm doing the American way and try to set my English skills to the test. Well, it's a 79. Beautiful machine, as you see. It has 6,600 on the clock. The tractor meter, I don't know any history of the tractor, so how well it marches, but considering the general condition of this machine, it shouldn't be too far off. So I had this for some years, doing a lot of refurbishing. As you see, it has more or less fresh paint. Give it a couple of years. It's a very decent paint job. You see the doors has been off, the hood, everything been off, the windows been out, all the latches is removed before painting. I went with quality paint, single compound Esper machinemalja on the yellow part. To have it a little more flashy and break off the yellow, I didn't want brown on this, so I have, like, this is a goldish metallic. I painted the tubes, the bar, the center of the wheels obviously, and the roof, and that's an automotive paint. The brown one, it's another different paint. It's a Fluggerfarg. It's a more robust, resistant to rust, resistant to chemicals, a little tougher. So why didn't I use it on the whole tractor? Well, it has a consequence that it doesn't have the same gloss as the yellow one. So, but I prefer. I think it's more important with a resistant strong paint on the chassis and engine than a glossy one. So that's why it is like that. We can start here. It's the brakes. It's been refurbished. I didn't replace any parts. I took it out. Everything looks good. Cleaned it up, lubricated, so they work very well. You can lock them here, of course, as the other ones. So on these machines, they have a tendency to stick to each other because they're not used separately much. So that is loosened up and lubricated. As you see, a very fresh interior, mostly consisting of Biltema products, and there is a new floor mat from Owerwiew, additional isolation in the bottom here. We have a locking mechanism. I can talk about that later. Little things has happened here. This loader here, it has a new valve body with the handle. The tilt is recently built. We have a new glow plug. It's not that the previous one failed to work, but it works like it's that when it's heated up, it let fuel through, diesel fuel through, and if it doesn't keep sealed when it's cold, all the diesel fuel is eventually going into the intake manifold, and you will have no fuel to glow when you need it. There's also a new generator. I did need to replace the relay on the starter. I think the starter is recently replaced before because the threads on this cover bolt was broken. And that, I think, is due to the cable here from the battery. It's short, it's thick, it's stiff. And when you take your battery off for charging and move around with this, it causes the cable shoe here to tear on the threads. But I arranged that. I put clamps. I clamped the cable to the hydraulic pipe, so when you move around with this, it doesn't move so much on the starter. So hopefully this will last. And the starter itself, as mentioned, it was not warned. It was pretty new, and they probably changed it because of this relay. We have a little protective here. All the bolts on the loader is new. Also this insert for bolts is renewed on the rear side, on the cylinders and the loader itself. It's additionally, it's upgraded as well. This is a little wider with a lock, so it prevents the loader arms or the fundament to split apart.
Okej, kochanie.
We're gonna take this guy with me. Ja, så du väljer med att kika på trappen. Du väljer med och that's the tractor. He has to learn, you know.
Yeah, but we cannot publish him so much, so
It's
it's gonna be anonymous.
Yeah. Lots of new hoses and not so much to say on this side. We can move to here. So, as a new starter on diagram, we also have new battery. We do have, there is a main switch here.
Maybe I try to hold him.
Are you okay? Yeah, okay.
I will try.
Yeah.
But hold the phone.
Yeah. So there is a main switch here. It's very nice setup, a very solid mount, and it's protected here, but I did have some issues with it. So I have, at the recently moment, I have bypassed it. So, but if you have any wishes for a main switch, I will modify something. I have switches I have much better experience with than this one. But there is overhauled ignition switch, there is new light switch, everything disconnects when you turn off the key, so there is really not much point of having it, but if you like, I will arrange. A new wire from the fuel pump to the tractor meter to keep it counting, so you don't miss any hours of service. Valve clearance system, some 10, 20 hours, 50 hours ago, along with oil change and engine, new filter obviously. We also have new water pump. It was slack. I fitted in a new thermostatic valve, and I also...
Hey, kotku! Hey!
I can hold him now.
Okay.
So, yeah, so... And I'm also, as an engineer, I really like to having my gauges and warning lamps to function, so I also replaced this thermostatic temperature sensor. This oil pressure switch works well.
Sure.
Yeah, oil pressure switch, that worked well. I haven't done anything with that. Did I have any problems with this tractor? People ask. Yes, I did have problems with the tractor stopping because of the fuel supply. On these models, the fuel tank is under tractor, so it has to suck diesel from the fuel tank to the pump, and that makes the system very sensible for air leaks into the system. So previous owners have been tampering with this fuel lines and stuff, so it was quite bad condition. So the sludge cup here is modified with stainless steel hermeto coupling. It's not very budget friendly, but I borrowed it from one of my previous work, and they didn't want me back, so I couldn't deliver it, return it. And I also replaced the existing fuel line with a stainless fuel tube that I have clamped here, and so that works very well. To be mentioned for information, the brick seal, the cover washers and alloy washers, they are in odd dimension and material, so I had to crawl on my knees to the church and purchase genuine Valmet seal bricks to make everything be good and tight, and that works well. So as long as you don't tamper with it, it will work. It has worked very well for me. So if it works, don't fix it. So that's for the... I also had some issues with the glowing system. This is a diesel pot that supplies your glow stift with diesel fuel. And these hoses here was all dry and cracked and leak. This was full of residues or shit if you want, so it didn't feed so much fuel onto it. And it's actually a very important part if you want to have your glowing system to work properly. So all these hoses, new Hydroscan hoses, fuel lines been off, cleaned, flushed, and new bricks. So it's really not leaks, very tight and sealed, and works very well. So I'm pleased with that. This diesel cup also is emptied and clean for sale, and the rubber gasket here has also been an issue, and I also borrowed some rubber from a previous job with a marine grade rubber to make a seal, so that works.
Yeah, by the way, he's looking for a job, so
Yeah.
just so you know how he is.
I require some bonuses sometimes. And for your, what can I say, reliability, I also fitted a brand new diesel filter before the sale here. Cleaned up everything, brand new, has a few hours on it. So, and diesel and the cooling system is also flushed, cleaned with this cleaner you buy on this auto parts stores. Flushed decently, 50-50 mixture of new glycol. So that's also overhauled. I also added this, it's a new engine heater element, and the engine heater is a colic style. I fitted it here. You go with the lid cover, so it works very nice, and it looks kind of nice for an old tractor to be. I also here have mounted this coupe heater decently with the wire. This contact here is also colic style. Everything is connected under here. The wires are clamped so it doesn't restrict this throttle and stop rods there. So very decent job there. I can just mention here the loader here. There is new bolts on the bucket as well. This is shimmed up decently, putting grease nipple. This also here is a welded up this holes, the hinges holes in the loader, so it should last for quite some time. We can have a look at the rear. So it's not really much extraordinary going on here. This is one of my pride on this tractor. I love this old style. This is the original ramp housing. It can twist it and move it everywhere, and I love this old style. Unfortunately, there is no replacement, so I took and what we call implemented this modern LED lamp into this to have a better resolution with less power. So it works fine, and I'm kind of proud of it. New antenna. This is the hydraulic. It's a single acting, I believe, but I don't know really how it works because I don't have any tools. But I made these brackets and clamps so it sticks very tight and it's no leaks and it's covered there. So I had off this lid here. It's been off and cleaned up everything inside there, renewed the oil or filtered the oil and topped up with new one. Yeah, that's it to say. This window here is genuinely yellow, but I removed all the paint and painted it black to make it appear a little modern look to the tractor. Also this positioning light there is genuinely side markers, but I don't find so much use of them up there. But so I installed this positioning light and rewire them to light up with the parking light. And there is new leather on this, but we can have a look inside. We can maybe go from the other side here. So, there we show. So to say, I can have look at this. I have installed stereo here. Genuinely, these stereos is placed here with one speaker. It's kind of limited. I wanted two, so I casted a fiberglass box here to fit two speakers, and I mounted the stereo on this side. Now, there is two reasons. First of all, when you have it on this side, there is a big box here that restricts your view. Another thing is that this window here, you can open it, and it's even detachable. You can just disconnect this here and slide it off, and then you have an open room exposed for wind and weather, and that's not where you want your sophisticated sensible electronics. So that's why I moved it to the rear side, and of course you don't get this restricted box here. It's not so much to say about this. It's a very good setup here. It has a very important function actually. It has a button that's called the Bass Plus. Now you want to be careful with that. You don't want to have your chicks running around you before you are finished working with your Valmet. But what it also have is that when you have the radio on and you turn the switch off, I only have one wire and it cuts all the electricity. It doesn't have this, you can do it, but it doesn't have this constant flow of electricity that you need to keep the memory. But this has some internal, I don't know how it works, but when you cut the power and when you go on with the power again, I press on the button, it continues, even if it was totally power loss, it continues with the channel where you had it. And also these preset program channels will also be there. Nothing will be erased. So that's a very good feature that you don't think so much about. I also installed, because I have the Owerwiew. I usually have my cell phone here. I like country, and it's not so much country going on the radio, so I have my phone here playing Spotify with this auxiliary hack here, and I also installed this 12 volts power, so I can have my cell phone charger here and have my phone here. So that's a good feature. So there is not so very much to say. I have put a lot of attention to to this level here. Hello again. We had to do a little breakup. I was intending to do a commercial break, but unfortunately I was not able to sell broadcasting time to anyone, so I just have continued to selling my stuff. Before I enter the cabin again, I want to tell you a little about the hood here. It also have new rubber locks here. They are important to these rubber locks here. They merge into here, so they are important to keep the hood tight, because you need this to be tight to. Here is the hot air from the fan going in, so it needs to be the hood needs to rest tight to be stuck there. We have a little about the loader. It's a Veto. It's as old as the tractor is. It's not very advanced, but it is quite a good setup for this machine, because it only has two lubrications. It's the grease nipples here and the grease nipple on the bucket that we mentioned previously. Otherwise it's not so much maintenance to do, because these are really not moving much, and also the lifting cylinder here, they are the angles are set up that they are really not rotating so much on the bolt, so they doesn't require much maintenance. It is detachable. It is kind of, well, I don't do it. I don't feel a need for it because it's wide, and actually what you have here, you have very good accessibility to serve your engine through between the loader and the engine bay. So it's a very nice setup for this kind of machine. You have accessibility to your cold start device, to top up oil, prime, change oil filter, clean the cup and clean fuel filter. You do it everything without taking off the loader. You can even adjust valve pretty easily and tension the V-belt. As on the other side you also have good access to the strainer, so it's a very good loader for this setup. I also added a couple of additional spring here. This rod for the stop and throttle, they have intended to be a little sticky because I don't use the tractor, I use it too less. But maybe if you use it more, it probably will be soften up a little. Then we can go inside again. As I said, it's I used to say it's like an old Trabant. You have the locking device on the left hand door. I'm going to show you the locking device I made for the right hand door. First, it's an important feature which is retrofitted is the seat. Now this tractor does not come with this kind of seats. I don't know who's installed it. It's not me, it's not the previous owner, but somebody. Okay, yeah. Somebody has spent too much money on this thing.
Now we have to sell a tractor to have it back.
Yeah. And it's a very nice spring-loaded seat. It even has this level here, and you can actually dial in your weight to adjust. Yeah, well, if you want to be Michael Schumacher and have a really stiff feeling, or if you want to have ride a donkey like easy and soft feeling, it's you can choose that one on here. It has some years, but it's very fresh, and don't worry. I cleaned it up, refreshed it. It's very clean. It's so clean that my what limited me to make it even more clean was that my wife just was fed up of me and the seat in the bath tube, so she chased me out of the bath tube with the seat eventually.
Yeah.
But most of the poop bacteria which was remaining there hopefully is gone, so you don't have to be worried about your hemorrhoids. It also have good, well, here is the level for the hydraulic takeout, and there's a couple of knobs here, not important. It also have 3 or 4 settings, height settings, like 1, 2 and 3, and this bottom, and it's fully adjustable, it's rotating. It is at 360 degrees, but the driver's cabin won't allow that, but you have very nice position. You have the handrest here on the integrated toolbox. Very nice design of Valmet. We also have adjustable back and forward, and yeah, that's it. So I think my wife here is very pleased with all the tractor talk now, so I'm gonna take the phone here and she can go in and make me some
don't do that.
coffee. So I'm gonna show you around the driver's cabin here, what I managed to do here. Yeah, we're talking about the windows. I don't know if I showed you the lock here. It's a device here. You drag it here and it's not able to be open. Now you can just move this pin and move this device here if you want, if you don't want to have it. I put a lot of attention into this loader bracket, as I said. It was very requiring to fit this level on this tractor here, because the design of the driver's cabin is not bigger than it has to be. You want this as far back as possible, but you can't have it too far back because you're restricting the maneuverability of the gear shifter. You can't have it too far forward because it crashes to the handle here. You can't have it too far out because it crashes to the door, and you want to have it too far in because it conflicting your steering wheel, and also this hand throttle here. So it's not much play around here. And you also want to be able to close the door without everything in the way here. But I think I can't have it too far back either, because I wanted this wire to be as much guided away as possible down here, and then you cannot have this level too far back either because you're getting too much angle on the wires. But I think I succeed very well by tilting the lever a little in this angle, so I can guide the cables a little in the angle front there, so they are still operating very easily. And when you have the seat in the correct position, comfortable position, actually you might need to bend your back a little, but it's really not much for having the level mounted on the console, and you still is very able to non-restricted change your gear and everything, and that you would not have with the lever installed here as many prefer, or here. So I have it so far back as I could do it, and I'm very pleased with the design, the height, the operational. I have the angle like on this, a little angle to the right as well, to give it a more ergonomical feel. So very pleased with that. You will like it. The bracket here is very solid. It's a double mounted bracket in the console and in the purse, so it's very stable. You're not going to break it. There is also two other things that needed attention, and that is that you have the hand throttle here, and it has this thumb function, so it needs to have a full travel. So the bracket had to be shaped to allow full travel on this one. That's why it. And also you have the adjuster for the heater core here, water flow valve. You want to access that, not to go here, but you go there. So this bracket is a compromise of many things that I really think I succeeded in. We have also this here. It's okay, it's freezed up now. Maybe it's the curtain for the radiator. It usually works. For the dashboard, this is a steering ball. It's consisting of a couple of steering balls. It feels very ergonomically. It feels very good. Some of the switches here are new. Unfortunately, I was not able to get a genuine one, but everything works. As I said, the ignition switch is overhauled. I'm really picky about having my controls in working conditions. So this oil lamp and charger lamp, is new light bulbs here, is new light bulbs in the instrumentations, and as I said, everything works here. New glasses here, and that is rev counters. I don't mind about that, but I do want it to count the hours, and of course this indicator. So at the moment everything works, but I don't really care about other things than this, what's going on here and what's going on there. And this ignition switch is also overhauled, or taking apart, cleaned up, lubricated, so you feel where you have the glowing and where you have the start. You don't have to wonder. New light switch, very handy. This light bar up there, it has its own switch here, but it is wired on a relay. I can talk a little about that afterwards. One more thing about the glowing issues. We have the fuse box here. I also had issues with cold starts due to the glowing system. As I said, I cleaned up and arranged, but these fuses here, they have a tendency to corrode and they lose connection, and you find that your light doesn't work properly, and you can twist them a little and you get your lights to lie for the heater fan or whatever. On the glowing side, there is no indicator if you are glowing or not, so you really don't know if the glowing work efficiently before you try to start it and it start or not. And if your fuse here is a little corroded, you don't know if it's working or not before you crank and oh fuck, this shit won't start, and you go berserk and you crush all the windows and glasses and correct. You don't want that. So I rewired and installed one fuse, other type of fuse. It's hard to see here, but you see what I am, and this is much more reliable and resistant. It's not any cutted wires. You can connect it easily back to this type if you want, but this has never caused me any problem, so so the glowing works very fine. It's so for the cold start abilities, I think hopefully I have sorted all out. Last thing I want to give you is this light bar up here. As you see, it's a very decent mount. It's welded, brackets threaded, locked with a nut. It is about the same height as the same highest point of the escape hatch here, so it doesn't add any more restricting height on the tractor. Mostly I've seen these bars mounted like up here. Now that's a bad idea, because you get the roof, they gonna, when the light bar points down, roof creates a little shadow here, and you have this glowing around your windshield here, which you don't want. So I decided to mount it in front of the roof instead of on the roof. And you don't want to have it to go too low either, because you want to be able to flip your light switch up, windscreen wipers up. So cable here, very decently laid up, hidden. You don't see any wires, hardly any wires anywhere. It has its own power supply. It's laid up with a relay, and here, because I want to be able to that it switches off automatically when I switch off the other lights, and it has its own well, hello again. It looks like my phone is starting to get as much tired of tractor talk as my girlfriend is here, so I will try to be quick now to set an end on this. Well, as I mentioned, light bar, it has a own relay setup. It has its own power supply from battery. I did a relay because I wanted it to switch off as I switch off the other lights, and the relay is lying in here. Also has this kind of fuse. A little attention to the wiring here. Here is the antenna. I did it like this. Usually the wires are coming out here and hanging. I didn't want the wires now, so it's integrated in the structure here. It goes out on the way back, and follow a pipe to goes in back to the stereo here, so you don't see much to the wires here. There also is, to mention, is a switch here for the beacon. I doesn't have a beacon because I don't want to have any additional height, but there is very easy accessible a wire here for the beacon with power when you switch on the switch. So if you want to install a beacon, it's very easily to connect. If you want it, you can request for it. I can fix a beacon for you if you want, but that's not for me. So the toolbox, it actually has a toolbox, yes, but it's so nice now, I prefer to go by it as a glove compartment. So it's not much here, it's instruction for the level. I tried to print out the user manual if you want. I do have a bag here, it's some additional fuses and some genuine velvet seals. You don't want to waste that. And I also used to have my gloves and the wire, the cable for the engine heater. So I'm gonna turn my phone over to my wife now. I can show you the tires first. It has a little dry cracks on the sides, but other than that, wheels are very nice. Tires are in good condition. I would estimate around 70%. Still good dubbkedjor, and yeah, very good front tires as well. I think one of them was more or less new. Alright, so all in all, a very nice piece of machinery, refurbished, well served, addresses most of the failure that is expected to be on this tractor, and you also get a very practical, very nice size and very comfortable operational level on these things. Are there any faults, issues with the tractor? Well, this grass cutter machine here, I haven't used it because my propeller axle shaft is too short, so I need to use money on that. So if you want the grass cutter, it will gives you additional cost, or we can make some agreements. But how it works, if it works, I don't know, but it is more or less complete, at least the main parts, I believe. So that's it. Other than to mention, there are some dry cracks on the tire. I haven't seen any particular defects, but they are like more small and a little bigger dry cracks on the side. That's what I know. This door here is a little, you have to add a little force to close it. I think it's due to these hinges here. This door is typically very little in use because of the restricted access. So there probably have been stuck hinges here, and that's why it's a little deformed. Now you can't see it, but it is when you close it. It doesn't close as smooth as the other door. So all in all, it's lubricated and everything, so it does swing very nicely. So I suggest you to use it more, but that's one issue. Another one I discovered recently, these hydraulic cylinders, when there was hotter in the weather like now, it's plus degrees, they do have a small leak over time. It's really not much, but they do have a little wear. So I ordered new seals, but I don't think I want to replace them before the problem occurs. But you will have them with the tractor. Maybe a little thicker hydraulic oil will actually solve the problem. I don't know, I haven't seen it before recently, but they work very fine. There is not really a leak you can see, it's just some sweating dripping over time. Otherwise there is a lot of seals replaced, and there is really not much leak of this machine. The bucket here, it's of course it is a stationary, it's no quick connections, but it is very refreshed. It's reinforced here and several parts here. This bottom iron here is also replaced, several parts of it. So I think I solved all the cracks and reinforced the weakest point that had cracks, and it's cleaned up and refreshed. I removed a lot of the rust. A little too good prep work for painting a bucket, but
And what we see here is just mud.
yeah. And as well there are new bolts. These bolts are not, these bolts are rotatable. The one that hangs on the loader itself. These bolts are fixed because they have lubrication on the cylinder. But the downward, I don't know if it's a good idea or not to have it rotatable or not. I really don't know. So if you wish to have them in another way, I can arrange that, of course. And these cylinders are new; they don't leak anyway. So that's what I know. What is some technical issues on this machine. And yes, well, check out my next video about why buy a Walnut 502, and you will be impressed of this machine. Thanks.